Hello friends, welcome to ADO.NET tutorial. In this video, we will see how to find a row by compound key. The backend table designer can keep multiple columns in a primary key based on the need. So in our example, we picked a customer table, and customer table contains a primary key, but that primary key is based on a single customer ID column. In some tables, it is possible to mix one or more column to form a primary key. So that's up to the table designer in the backend, and they decide how many key can participate in primary key column. It can be one or more than one key. When table designer mixes more than one primary key, that primary key is called compound primary key. In ADO.NET, one should supply array of objects to find the row. So if we are using the mixture of primary key, or if we use compound primary key, then we have to supply array of objects to find a single row. The passed-in objects should match the column order of the composite key. Suppose if we form the composite key like P1, P2 and P3, and if you see here, we are forming the composite primary key based on three primary key columns, or three columns we can say, column P1, column P2, column P3. All these columns together forms the composite primary key. When we use composite primary key in ADO.NET, we have to pass the object in the order in which the columns are defined. I mean primary key column P1, P2, P3, right? We have to pass object in the same order. In our example, we have taken customer table, and in the DB, customer ID is the primary key column. So we already saw that in our previous video, and we also fetched a row by passing the customer ID to the find method. In ADO.NET, we can create our own primary key, providing that the retrieved rows on the key is unique. So if we take this customer table example, here in the front end, we are going to form our own primary key, and the condition should be that the retrieved row should be unique. Right? Our own primary key, in the sense we are going to mix two columns, and those two columns are not a composite key in the backend, but still we are going to treat that as a compound key, and we will proceed with the example with that assumption. And in the backend table, we already checked that the composite key, that means the contact title as well as city, and these two columns when combined together, they are unique. So we take those two columns as a good example for composite primary key in the front end perspective, that means in ADO.NET perspective. Now we will form front end composite key. You can use this technique for backend composite primary key also. So when your backend contains more than one column as primary key, you can use this same technique, whatever we are going to explain here in this video. Alright, now we will form front-end composite key based on contact name, that's one column, and city, that's one more column. Using these two, we will form the front-end composite key, and they have no duplicate in the table. So that way we don't have any problem in forming the front-end composite key with these two columns. Now let's look at the code. Here, if you see, we are creating a data column collection or array of data column, and we are calling that as key column here, and the array contains 2 members in it. First member we are giving a contact name, and second member we are populating it with city. So we are taking the columns from a table collection, from a table column collection, table data table. This is columns collection. From there we specify the column name, contact name. Here we specify the city, right? And we assign that to our data column. Next, here we are calling the primary key property on our table, and we supply our key columns. We know that this key column now contains 2 components. One is contact name and another one is city, right? Contact name and city. So now the primary key here is the composite key columns. We specify 2 key columns here. Alright, we defined the primary key at our table end. Now when we want to make use of this composite key, we need to create the object array. Here if you see object array key values, there are 2 slots here, and we supply value for these components. So, and if you look at here, when we formed contact name first, city second, right? The same way here we are using the contact name then city. So we are not changing the order, we are using the same order. First is contact and second one is city. Right, and from our text box or from our UI we are supplying these values, right? Next we are making call to the find method the same way how we used the find method in our previous example. The same way we are using the find method here, and this time we are supplying the key values, right? First we specified the composite front-end primary key here. Then we packed the values that matches the order of these keys. Then in the rows collections find method, we pass this key value, right, which is already populated from our text box. That's all. The find method will return one or more row, or sometimes it may not return any row at all. So that's why here we are checking the null condition. After that we are making call to our display row ignity method, and we pass the row here. Since we already checked for the null condition, the row is valid here, but since the key is unique here, that means the value retrieved based on contact and city is unique. We will be getting only one row, and that one row we are passing here. And we know that a display row will bypart the column content of the row and displays the values in the multi-line text box. Now let's go to the demo. Alright, now we will go ahead with our second find method. Here if you see, first we take the column names from our data table, right? Data table we filled with these number of columns and all rows, right? From here we are picking specific columns, contact name and city. Contact name, city, which was already included in our select statement, so those columns are available, and we populate the data columns and we give that to the primary key collection, right? Data table primary key, it's a property, and we give our key columns. Next, key columns are already defined. Now we pack the value, right? For that, we create object array with 2 slot. Our key column is 2 slot, right? So we need to pass value. The value should match the order of this key column. So first is contact name. That's why we are taking data from the txt contact. So this is the txt contact, txt city. This is txt city, and from a text box we pack the key values. After this, we make a call to, this is our data table, and here it is rows collection, and we make use of the find method. And to that find method, if you see here, there are one more overload. We can either pass a single key value or object collection. Since ours is a composite key, to the find method we are passing the object array, right? The object array is formed here. That's what we are passing here. Then we use the retrieved data row and we make a call to display row as we did previously, right? Now let's run this. Here contact name, let's pick some sample, Control C, right? Area cruise, city Sao Paulo. So now if you see, this time we are using the composite primary key to find the row, right? FAMIA, and all these details are displayed here. So previously we saw how to fetch a row based on a simple primary key, in which the primary key was formed using only one column. Here we used the composite primary key, which was formed using the contact and city, and here we are finding the detail based on city as well as contact. That's all here in this video. Just now you saw the demo. Thank you for watching. Bye.